strong and easier to carry. It can bust back you. Number 5, the $5 and $10 coin, you will see sign underneath the picture on the front of the coin when you twist the $5 and $10 coin. Number 6, you will also see the style underneath the picture on the front of the coin when you twist the $5 and $10 coin. For more information on the new Cbl-Money, please visit the CBL website. So www.cbl.org.ro. New Cbl-Money, same value.
Yes, indeed. New Liberian money, same value. Once again, we want to say welcome to Money Matters here on ELBC Radio. We want to also welcome all the community radio stations that are relaying this broadcast. Gentlemen, once again, welcome to Money Matters.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I'd like to say thank you. I'd like to say a specific welcome to my young brother, Kanyanet Singbe, the Director of Communications at the LRA. It's the first time on Money Matters.
Thank you so much. It's actually the manager, because we don't have
manager.
Yeah, but it's a very wonderful pleasure to sit with you here. I think I have washed my hands and I'm eating with the king. I'm saying this from the spot that I was way in high school when Cyrus Badger used to be on the radio, way down the line, and then joining the executive marshal.
I mean, when we're all kids, we used to hear about Cyrus on the radio.
Yeah.
So actually, and sometimes people meet me and ask, are you the same Cyrus Badger who used to hear way back?
People wonder whether you're the
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
So let's get into the main issue. The government of Liberia recently issued a number of directives, and those directives were issued through the Ministries of Commerce, the Ministry of Finance, the Liberia Revenue Authority, and the Central Bank of Liberia. And among those measures, they were intended to address the high volatility in the foreign exchange market, evidenced by the sharp decline in the value of the Liberian dollar. Now, what are the key issues those directives intend to address? And any one of you can take a shot at this first question.
So I will start, and once again, let me thank you, Cyrus, for inviting us on this program to come and throw light on some of the critical issues, taking place in our economy. With regard to what we see happening with the exchange rate right now, I think the starting point should be about our monetary arrangement. And by that, I mean the dual currency economy we have. And because we have everyone handling the US and Liberian dollars simultaneously, everyone tends to behave at some point, as a money changer. And in this process, people try to take advantage of developments in the economy, especially when it comes to the issue of the demand and supply for foreign exchange. And so as a result, you see almost everyone, quoting their own, rates, thereby causing confusion in the foreign exchange market, unlike other countries where you have just a single currency. And so in that way, you have a more formal structure. So you have key players like the commercial bank, foreign exchange bureau that participate in the FS market. So even where there are depreciation, it is easy to know, with certainty the movement of the rate. And so no bureau is just going to quote just any rate, or no commercial bank is just going to quote any rate. Okay, so that's a situation you find in almost all other countries. But unlike, other countries, in the case of Liberia, because US and Liberian dollar are available to everybody, so anyone can participate in the FX market and just create confusion, and we sometimes lead to speculation, confusion in the market, and even some of the players who quote some of these rates, if you were to go to them to sell FX to them at those rates, they will not even have anything to sell. So they just create that confusion, and once one person see a rate out somewhere, that attitude goes all around. So the public is begin to demand, negotiate rate, and it shouldn't be that way. It just shows the chaotic nature of our FS market, and which I will attribute to the dual currency arrangement. And I think this is one of the evils of, the dual currency arrangement we have. But what is important for us to understand as a country is that while it is true that the US dollar is a legal tender in Liberia, the currency of Liberia is the Liberian dollars. And so what I mean is that we should really be doing most of our activities in the Liberian dollars. So people should not really be running behind the US dollar. The law is clear on that. The CBL Act clearly states that all prices, financial transaction, reporting, official transactions should be done in Liberian dollars. So in as much as US dollar is a legal tender, we shouldn't really prioritize US dollar over the Liberian dollar because the Liberian currency is the Liberian dollar. And I think that is important. So the general attitude we see in the economy right now where everybody is quoting prices in US, it should not really be the case. The law is clear. It says all prices should be quoted in Liberian dollar and cents. If you check, section 24 of the CBL Act, it states that clearly. And so I think it's about time, and that's what I think that the directive is really a step in the right direction because it's now trying to let businesses to know that, look, you should be quoting your prices in Liberian dollar. That's what the law says. So I see the directive more as a complement to what the law says. And I think we should have even started this process long since. People should learn to start quoting their prices in Liberian dollars. And of course, if someone has US and they want to transfer, that's fine because US dollar is still a legal tender. But as we move towards more and more de-dollarization, which means, wider use of Liberian dollars, I think it's about time that we begin to enforce some of these measures in support of that, policy objective of the government, which is the de-dollarization. So I think the problem we're facing right now is unusual. Yes, I mean, every country currency can face depreciation. I mean, there are always external factors that influence, exchange rate movement and all of that. But the central bank should be in a position to deal with those kind of situations. And that can only happen when the central bank has control over the foreign exchange coming into the country. But because, again, of the dual currency arrangement, most of the effort that comes into the country don't land with the commercial bank or the central bank. So people go to collect their remittances, they go to foreign exchange bureau, they go to anybody, and change their money. And so you see the efforts in the hands of almost everybody when, it should really be under the control of the banking system.
I know Mr. Anna will want to come in, but let's go to the LRA first before you come in, Mr. Anna. Some will say that perhaps some of the regulations put in place by government help to make the consumers chase United States dollars. For instance, there's a requirement, which I believe this directive is supposed to address, that when you're paying in your taxes, you have to pay in US dollars. So that may encourage people to go and look for US dollars because they have to pay their taxes or in US dollars or predominantly US dollars. So, Mr. Singwe.
Thank you so much, Mr. Badio. At the LRA, even before this regulation, we've been collecting some of our taxes in Liberian dollars. There are records that show that. But the thing, I think people have also misconception about paying taxes. Many of the people think that they should pay their taxes in United States dollars, which of course is not the case. The Revenue Code, that is the Bible or the Quran of the LRA, talks about collection of revenue in Liberian dollar, except when people want to pay in US dollar. And if you want to do that, then you have to go along with the exchange rate that is published by the Central Bank of Liberia. So there's no law that says that people must pay their taxes in US dollar. And that is why I think the directive is so good, that it will help people to understand that you don't need to go and exchange your Liberian dollars before going to pay your taxes. Come with the Liberian dollars when you have it, or come with the United States dollars if you have it. And I think that's what we've been doing, and that's what we should even do more. Now with the regulation in place, I think it's clear for everyone to understand, because probably people might have had this kind of misinformation or that misconception that we need to actually pay our taxes in US dollar. So now that we have US dollar, and Liberian dollar, let us go and change it to US dollar. And we believe that when people go to exchange their Liberian dollar for US dollar, I don't know, you call it buying or selling, you have the CBL level, and you are going to lose.
Yeah.
Let's assume the rate, the government, the published rate by the CBL is $100. And you want to exchange your money. And then you go to where you're going to exchange your money, and they tell you the rate is 105 or 115. So instead of paying that your $100 times the rate you have, the money you have, you are now going to be spending extra $500 if you go outside to change the money to pay. So pay the money in the Liberian dollar that you are trading in, and don't worry about exchanging your money to United States dollar.
Now, let's come to Mr. Anand. One of the policy measures is a requirement to display the exchange rate at the premises of business entities, and that this rate must be in line with the published CBL rates. Now, how can this address the decline in the value of the Liberian dollar?
Well, you need consistency. Thank you for that question. You need consistency in the market. And to be honest with you, the exchange rate plays a major role in the fluctuation or depreciation, rising inflation, movement in inflation, because of the same dual currency. But before I address the exchange rate problem, I would want to look at another aspect of the directive. The directive helps to bring out, you have something called monetary policy. Now, the implementation of monetary policy is effective in your domestic currency. Because if I'm implementing monetary policy using another man's currency, obviously he has more control over his currency. So his policy affects mine as well. For example, US have been tightening their policy rate. It affects us. We see the demand for the supply of US dollars on the market is reducing as well because of tight policy in the US. Now, we don't want that situation. We don't want that. So we want to give the Liberian dollar the wider advantage usage. More people use the Liberian dollar. Now, the reason why we say paste the exchange rate on your at your business entity is to have seamless. We call all over the country. We do a survey every year in the first quarter to generate the weights for the market players in the foreign exchange market. And that weight is generated from Registered Forex Bureau. We do take a sampling size of them with all the commercial banks and businesses that are engaged in buying and selling of US dollar. Because if I have a store, I'm importing, I'm a retailer, obviously when you come to buy from me, you bring US dollars, I must serve you. If you want your change in Liberian dollar, I must give you your change in Liberian dollar. If you want your change in US dollar, I should give you your change in US dollar. But the rate that is used should be consistent with what is around the country. And the weighted average exchange rate represents that consistency. So not everybody should, change according to what they feel. No, they shouldn't do that. Go by the published rate. And if you don't do that, you're extorting money from the government. You're extorting money from the people of Liberia, because government say pay your taxes according to the rate central bank published. But then you're selling your goods higher than the rate central bank published. So it's a form of stealing, and you should avoid that. If you are caught, you will be penalized severely.
So these rates are published daily?
On a daily basis. It's published
in the newspapers,
on the central bank website on a daily basis. The thing is, there is just a lag of 1 day. So today's rate for government's operation, for financial operations in the banking sector, is yesterday's published rate. The rate that was published for yesterday, which will come up because when we finish doing all those calls all around the country, it takes time. Before it comes up, already in the evening. So when it comes up, that's what it's used for today. So every government entity that deals with finances has that rate this morning. Commercial bank, they have it already.
So when I go around, I see, I look in the newspapers, I go on the CBL website and say the rate that is there is, say, 103 to $1. But I go out there, say perhaps I visit Duper Road or say other places in town, and I see 190, in some cases 200. Where is all of that coming from?
That is the insanity we're talking about. That is what we are trying to address. That's why the regulation is addressing. We don't want that. You should, if you want to do US dollar business, it's a business. Your foreign exchange is a business. You must be registered. So most of the guys you see on the streets, they're not registered. They're not registered. And they're just doing this because they see somebody pump money somewhere, and that speculation is just moving. Oh, I saw 180, so I will make mine 181. But when you go there to get the money from them, you won't really get it. Maybe they just have $100 or $200 in their drawers that they're trying to sell or buy. But when you 181, 185, 186, okay, give me $1,000, you may not be able to get it. They will start to look all around, and that is where the problem is coming from. That's where the problem is coming from. And we try to address that.
Let me come in before
okay.
I mean, and this is, I mean, to buttress what he said, I mean, about the published exchange rate.
Okay.
When the CBL publishes the exchange rate, it is that exchange rate that we use the next day
at the LRA.
At the LRA.
Yes.
So our exchange rate at the LRA changes by $1 between 75 cents to $1. So if the rate is stable, for example, for the next 2 months at 179 and nothing exchanges, we go with that rate. You see, today, this is the rate that takes effect today. We go inform and we put it on our website for people to see. So we encourage taxpayers to always come to the LRA, use the government exchange rate to pay their taxes rather than going out in the street and being where people will extract money from them.
So what is the LRA rate?
It's 179.75.
Now, is that realistic? Like, come on.
So and that is where I wanted to come.
Sure.
Again, people need to understand that foreign exchange business is not an open market, meaning just anybody can do it. The law is clear on how you can engage in foreign exchange operations. You must be licensed by the central bank, because it's only that way we are able to regulate the sector. But if everyone is exchanging just because we have dual currency arrangement, that is not, in compliance with the law. And I think that's one of the reasons why very soon the central bank, of course, working with NAFIBO, the National Association of Foreign Exchange Bureau, and the LMP, will be out there to ensure that people who don't have license to engage in foreign exchange operations are not allowed to do such a business. And it's also important that even businesses, because there's a observation that some businesses indirectly engage in foreign exchange activities. Yeah, much as people can go and buy a US dollar and you give them change in Liberian dollar or US dollar, but that doesn't mean that as a store or as a shop, you can engage in foreign exchange, because all of those affect the rate, in the market. Because if, like you rightly saying, somebody went to a bureau, legitimate bureau, and the rate there is 180, but then he goes to the store and they may give him 185, he's going to start going to. So you see, at the end of the day, the businessman is making profit on his good, and he's also making profit, on the foreign exchange, which he should not be allowed to do. And that is why the enforcement exercise of the bank will soon embark on is intended to address. So first, we're going to sensitize businesses and those who are not supposed, who have no authorization to engage in foreign exchange activity, to desist from that. And only people who are licensed, like the bureau, registered bureau, and commercial banks, should engage directly in foreign exchange operation. And definitely, if once we can have such a structure, compliance structure in the foreign exchange market, the way we see the rate behaving sometimes is not going to be the case, because those are the people that central bank will always refer to know what is happening in the market. And in that way, the rate become predictable and become, there's some certainty, not too much outliers, and everybody just quoting all over the place and causing confusion in the market. And we will
come more to the enforcement, but I just want for us to look at one of the, because there were a number of regulations that the government released. So let's look at this one. And this is for Liberian businesses, including schools, hospitals, hotels, restaurants, and other forms of businesses to state their prices in Liberian dollars, as well as accept the Liberian dollar as a legal means of payment. And also, as part of the regulations, taxpayers are encouraged to pay their taxes in Liberian dollars, thereby removing the need to convert to US dollar before paying taxes. So what is the effect of this policy directive?
Listen, imagine this. You have a nursery for kids, and the school is asking you to pay United States dollars for school fees. Does it make sense? It doesn't. People take their family you must pay US dollars as school fee, and you in Liberia, going to school in Liberia, and you're asking for US dollars. Come on. You put strain on the economy, you put strain on yourself and on the population. So we are asking that, listen, our legal tender, the currency that the central bank has 100% control over, is the Liberian dollar. Help us make monetary policy effective. Because if you start to speculate and just move rates any way you want to, it becomes difficult for the central bank to implement effective monetary policy, and then it goes back and haunt you. Because now that the exchange rate is just fluctuating, anybody quoting any rate, you are harming yourself, because tomorrow goods prices will be priced at that rate you're quoting, and salaries don't move the same way the exchange rate move. They don't. So you will be affecting yourself. The amount of money you will spend to buy a particular item will be now higher than what you used to do, what you used to use. So we are asking, listen, to make it easy, pay charge people in Liberian dollar. If they want to pay US dollar, they are free to pay US dollar. Pay your taxes in Liberian dollar. It's not forced for you to pay taxes in US dollars, but you can pay your taxes in US dollar as well if you wish to. So these are things to bring strength to the Liberian dollar as well. Your own currency, you don't want to use it? For Christ's sake, where are we heading?
And I think, Mr. Badu, it's important for us to also look at the context here. I think part of the problem is structural, right? Mm-hmm. So if businesses prefer to take US dollar, and I am working for Liberian dollar, obviously, the best I can do is to source the US dollar to be able to meet my, consumer needs.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where most of the problem seems to be, because school, if teachers will need US dollar to go and buy, goods and services, it's only fair that you pay them US dollar too, right? So that they don't have to go through the hassle of finding Liberian dollar. So for me, I think the starting point is for businesses to be the one to accept Liberian dollars for transaction, because in that way there will be no pressure for school even setting fees in US dollar and the rest, because then you get the US to do what? But if you are paying Liberian dollars, you can easily go anywhere to buy goods and services. So I think the campaign we're on right now, the focus should really be on businesses to be the one to accept the Liberian dollar. And if they need the FX, they go to the commercial bank and the central bank to get the FX for their import needs. But if they are charging US dollar, it puts pressure on all other players to find US dollar to be able to, buy goods and services. So I think, much as we encouraging the schools and everybody, to try to accept the Liberian dollar and the rest of it, but the end point, which is the business, the businesses, they have to be in the position to accept Liberian dollars, so that people are not put under pressure to look for US dollars, to be able to get what they want. And I think that's where commerce really come in with the enforcement aspect with the, with the business. And like I said, the law is clear. It says that all prices, it's clear, must be stated in Liberian dollars and cents. So if, like my colleague said, if you want to pay in US dollar, okay, you have US dollar and you don't want to change it into Liberian dollar to buy, that's fine. But the law says all prices must be stated in Liberian dollar.
The LRA, Mr. Singbo wants to come in.
Yeah, sure. That was a scenario yesterday morning. A colleague of mine, and I hope he can call on this show, a manager at the LRA, he went to purchase a gas at one of the gas stations around here, one of the big ones. I want him to be the one to say the name on the radio. And he was demanded to pay 70% in USD and 30%
at the gas station.
At the gas station.
That's a violation of the law.
A very big gas station. And I will hope that he can call and explain it himself. and that is bad. So what pressure you put it on the economy, on the dollars, and on the men who want to purchase and go to work. So that affects our operation, and that is why we think that if taxpayers are compelled to pay in US dollars, and then it affects the whole revenue generation process. So come with what you have, because when people have those kind of constraints, the LRA is working hard to remove constraints in paying taxes. That's why we tell people you can stay in your bedroom now and pay your taxes by using mobile money and other platforms. So we shouldn't restrict them, and we are not doing it. And we want them to know that we want them to come and pay in Liberian dollars when you have it. Like my colleague said, if you have a US dollar you want to pay, that's good. But you are not on a duress or obligation to pay in United States dollars.
And this applies to the big companies too, like ArcelorMittal, and these are big companies. Are you saying that they can also bring in Liberian dollars in the taxes, or there are some restrictions?
I think the revenue code did not say people, whether you big company or not, you should pay in. The big companies should pay in US dollar, and the smaller companies should pay in ordinary people should pay in Liberian dollar, except where there are specific international trade related tariff that should be paid in United States dollar. Because if you look at the revenue code, certain sections in the government of Liberia, say chapter 1, section 6B of the code, follows that the government of Liberia, listen to the word, may by regulation require that, and this is more or less one of the directives or regulation, require that one certain user fee, license fee, and other fees which are designed to cover cost of providing a service be in US dollar. May the customs duties be stated in US dollar and pay in US dollar. That is the may aspect. So with this directive, the LRA knows that, the LRA has not already been restricting people to pay in US dollar or LD. And so it makes it easier to pay in whatever currency you have.
And that to explain that, for example, the business that you're engaged in, if it has no impact on the domestic money supply, for example, if I'm mining, my income that the income I generate is not from within the country, it's from outside. I sell my product outside. It will be wise for part of that tax to be paid in US dollars, because the revenue I'm generating is strictly in US dollars. So I can pay my taxes in US dollars. I don't have a problem with that. But it also serves the country more if part of that revenue is converted to Liberian dollars and paid in Liberian dollar taxes as well. So if the business the individual is doing is strictly international driven, I don't have a problem with him paying his money in his taxes in US dollars. He could pay in US dollars. He could pay in Liberian dollars. So the law is clear on that you are privileged to pay in US or Liberian dollar. So it shouldn't be that everybody must just be demanding US dollar from the some stores just.
And maybe I know we'll get back to you, but let's just give a station ID. This is the program Money Matters on ELBC Radio 99.9 FM, and the program is being relayed by several community radio stations throughout the country. Money Matters is sponsored by the Central Bank of Liberia and produced by the Corporate Communications section of the bank in collaboration with the Liberia Broadcasting System. The program is broadcast twice on the first and last Wednesdays of every month. And in today's edition, we are featuring directives recently issued by the government of Liberia regarding the manipulation of the exchange rate between the Liberian and United States dollars. We have to discuss the issues. The senior technical advisor to the executive governor of the central bank, Mr. Musa A. Kamara. Mr. Kamara is also the chairman of the TCCR, that's the Technical Committee on Currency Reform. We also have the deputy director of monetary policy at the CBL, Mr. Raji Anand, and the manager of communications at the Liberia Revenue Authority, Mr. D. Kanyen Singbe. We'll be opening the lines at some point, so let's give you the numbers now. It is not time to call yet, but just take the numbers. The numbers are 0886 0888 387 and 0776 278 The program is also on LNTV. That's on the Facebook page of LNTV. You were making a point out, Mr. Anna, before we went to break, so you can continue with that point, or if you've lost your train of thought, we can go into
I was saying that businesses are not forced to pay US dollars, except where the business you engage in, your revenue that you generate is solely in US dollars. You are free to pay your taxes in US dollars. If the government put, a condition that, since you are generating only US dollar revenue from the business you do, it is advisable or it will be feasible that you will pay your taxes in US dollar. But those entities, those businesses can also contribute to the strengthening of the Liberian dollar by purchasing Liberian dollar to pay their taxes. And that's the supply of US dollars on the market will be available as well if you do that. If you purchase Liberian dollar to pay your taxes, you will be reducing the supply of Liberian dollar on the market and increasing the supply of US dollars on the market. And that helps to bring regulation in the exchange rate as well.
Still, another measure intended to stabilize the value of the Liberian dollar is an investment being offered by the Central Bank of Liberia, known as the CBL bill. Now, how can the bill address the decline in the value of the Liberian dollar, the CBL bill? Any one of you, Mr. Kamara or Mr. Anna, you can start.
The CBL bill is an instrument. The bank, in the conduct of monetary policy, she uses lots of instruments that effectuate her objective. Mm-hmm. So the CBL bill is one of those instruments, and the CBL bills is designed because of the framework that we are using now, not exchange rate targeting anymore, but reserve money targeting. And in the reserve money targeting,
can you please explain that? Because I know you explained some time ago, but our listeners may have forgotten. Yes.
The exchange rate targeting, that was when we were targeting the exchange rate by issuing auctioning US dollars to the economy all the time. And that was not sustainable because we're always like in this situation now, we will find if we had it in the past, we'll go and auction US dollar. We draw down from our reserves that should be kept for greater projects, for example, external shocks, to buy essential products. That's why reserves are there for, to take care of balance of payment crisis or this external shock that is unforeseeable. So we transitioned and went to the reserve money targeting. Reserve money, we control the level of reserves that the bank can hold, because if banks are free to just float money in, increase their reserves, they can put that money out of the banks and it can cause inflation. So to regulate that, we issue CBL bills at an attractive rate also. And it's only in Liberian dollars. And remember, the CBL bill, the rate on the CBL bill will always be above or equal to the inflation rate. Always be above or equal to the inflation rate. And you will go nowhere in the country and find any other rate associated with an investment relative to the CBL bills. So when we issue the CBL bill, we gave you a document, an instrument that will take money from you, and that money taken from you is sterilized so that the supply of money on the market reduces by that much we have taken out. It brings regulation, it brings stability in the foreign exchange market or in the supply of money. We want a constant supply of money. We need we don't need high volatility. We don't need that, and that is why it's even open to the public. Now, usually these central bank instruments are made specifically for liquidity management in the banking sector, in the financial sector, but we have given it a broader perspective by going to the public, so individuals can also invest in the CBL instrument.
So how can one invest in the CBL bill?
It's in every commercial bank. You go to any commercial bank, tell them, I want to invest in the CBL instrument. The Treasury Department should guide you. Better still, if you're in town, just make a drop to the Central Bank of Liberia, ask for the Financial Markets Department, and you'll be able to speak to anybody that they can help you, show you how to go about it, or even come to the Research Department. Ask for the monetary policy section in the Research Department. We'll be able to help you and show you how to go about doing that. And I can assure you, when more people get to know about this, they're running after US dollars thing will cool down.
I understand that like 17.5% per annum.
Per annum, 17.5%. And that also changes given the movement in the exchange rate and inflation as well. It may not be a constant rate. So the last time it was 30, it came down to 25. Came down to 15. Now it's going up to 17.5. It might go up to 25 or 20, but that's something that will always be profitable for individuals.
So you're telling the public here that if, for instance, you have 10,000 in the CBL bill, you that's 17.5%. You're going to get $1,750
at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you deposited, you got 20,000 is about 3,500 at the end of the year.
At the end of the year.
That's a huge amount.
Yeah. So, Mr. Singbe, you can start investing too.
Another interesting part.
So it's it. How do we tie this to people who have their susu money and other, money keeping home, and comparing it to the CBL bill? What do you think about that? Well, how can we discuss it? I think
the way I see it is so, like Mr. Adnan rightly said, the primary objective of CBL instruments is to regulate the supply of money in the economy, because when you have more money, chasing fewer goods, obviously it leads to inflation. And so as central bank, part of our job is to analyze those sort of situations in the economy through forecasting, to be able to determine what should be the appropriate level of money that should be in the economy at any point in time. Okay. And so where we see that there is pressure, in the market in terms of the value of the Liberian dollar, it suggests one of the indicators is that there might be more Liberian dollar. And so in order to be able to contract that, we use some of these instruments. Of course, for the CBL base targeted mainly at, currency outside of the banking system. Because assuming a situation where we have bulk of the currency actually under the control of the commercial bank, then most of these things will actually be done directly with the commercial bank. But you see that if you compare the money that you have outside of the commercial bank, what is in the commercial bank, you have more outside. And so the strategy of the CBL currently is to target what is out there, even though doing it through the commercial bank. Because again, we want to encourage people to continue to work with the commercial bank, because it's only through the commercial bank that we can also be able to do our job more effectively. We can deal with the behavior of individuals easily. We can only do that through institutions, structural institutions like commercial bank. And that is why one of the objectives of this is to encourage people working with the commercial bank so that more, currency outside the banking system can circulate. Outside the banking system can circulate rather in the financial system, midstream financial system. But the point I wanted to make is that I'm speaking to the point that Mr. Kanyina was raising with regard to how do we compare the benefits of what you get on CBLB versus the Susu clubs and all of that. And again, the education we have in Rena is also targeted at those people. Because the Susu club and other people also understand those that have excess liquidity that are just sitting with them, and which also help to fuel the supply. Because as people go to borrow from these Susu clubs and they give them money, those money are still going back into the economy. Yeah. So we are also encouraging the Susu club to also take advantage of the instrument. Because even though we know that some of them charge very high interest rate and the rest, and more people want to go for that instead. But again, for those that have idle liquidity with them, this is an opportunity for them to also invest, in the CBL instrument through the commercial bank. And we believe that in that way, you'll also be controlling, the amount of currency, Liberian dollar, outside of the banking system, because you will not believe it, these Susu clubs do have a lot of liquidity. Yeah. And it's not all of the liquidity that they really gave her at every point in time. So they can really take advantage of some of these short instruments, 2 weeks, 1 month, and the rest of, and they'll be making money, but the thing that also happen with stability in the economy.
And
let's
and
move.
so-
Let's move. Please, we have another
Okay.
regulation or
Okay,
directive I
okay.
want for us to discuss because we running in out of time. We still have to go to the telephone lines. These are good directives, but
Very good
the
directives.
problem usually that people complain about is implementation. How do we enforce these directives? So, how would the government monitor violation of these directives?
So my view is this. So of course, Central Bank, Ministry of Commerce, all of that, government doesn't have the capacity, of course, to monitor the behavior of each and everyone. And that is why we are on the radio trying to tell people what to do, the right thing, in the interest of the greater good of the country. But again, we are giving opportunity to the public to also help us with the monitoring. And that is why we've, published the hotlines of the Central Bank as well as LRA, to be for the public to be able to also help reach out to the city if there are violations, and then we can quickly intervene in the process. So the public really need to support this effort because ultimately it's for the good of the public and the economy that these policies seek to, achieve. So in terms of monitoring, we alone can do it. We need the public support, and we also need a good conscience of the businesses themselves. We need all parties to support what is being issued by the government. There's nothing here against anybody. There's nothing here against the businesses, against the population, against everybody. Everything here is in the interest. We're just trying to bring order in the economy for the better, for the greater good of everybody. So in terms of monitoring, we expect good consciences of the businesses to comply with the directive. We also request for the support of the public, to report to the hotlines in terms of violation. And of course, once in a while, we ourselves will be testing, the compliance level in terms of what businesses and individuals are doing out there with regard to complying with the regulation.
There were also information about a task force that is being set up.
Yes, a task force has been set up. It will be going around because this directive has been published. So it's been announced, it's been published, we've been speaking about it. So task force will be going out. For example, if I came to your store and see that you're publishing a rate that you're not supposed to be publishing, you're going to be penalized for it. And the law will take its course. So we talking to would-be violators, please do the right thing. If you want to do foreign exchange business, come to the central bank, go to the business registration, get your license, register your business, and you can be involved in central bank. Publish your rate in your bureau according to what is published by the central bank, because you can be paying your taxes at a particular rate, then you selling at another rate. They should not be that different. There can be small variation, but not a huge outlier. We don't want that. If you are caught, well, I'm not the law. The law will take its
and just to add in terms of the source of getting a published rate, because all the rates are published in the local papers,
all the newspapers.
But we know not many people buy paper. So you can also go to CBL website. You will still get the same information.
www.cbl.website on Facebook as well.
Facebook,
you can go on Facebook as well.
Okay, the lines are now opened. The numbers again are 08888613870, 08888613870, 0776-278-255, 0776-278-255. We have our first caller on the line. This is Money Matters. Good morning.
Good morning, brother. My name is Mustafa Musha. I'm calling from Florida. But I just want to get certain clarification on the issue that the money matter. Are we getting clear?
Yeah, your volume is a little bit low. We're trying to make an adjustment.
I just want to get certain clarification.
Yeah, go ahead.
The money issue is this. Before you control money in the country, you have to have interest in the central bank. We approach that if I'm a businessman, I want to go change money. Any amount I want to change, if I go to central bank, I can get it right away. And the second thing is that no matter what you do, central bank try to get the money, you control the money. If I'm a businessman, somebody changing it to 58 or 400 on the street, central bank changing it to 50, 160. You think I'll go on the street to change it? I'm not going to go on the street to change it. I'm going to go in the bank to change the money there for good rate for me to be able to go buy my goods. Most of the business people are in Labrador to do today. We're going all of the country to go buy. We're not going buying LB. We're going buying in US. So you have to change your money. So you look at most of the time, what's happening? People want to get the money. You go to central bank, there's no choice. You can't get the money you want to change the money.
Okay, I think that point is made. Hello, this is Money Matters.
Hello?
Yeah, we may have to let you go if this continues.
Yeah.
Move away from your radio.
I'm sorry, we can't continue with him. Let's take another call. Hello, this is Money Matters.
Yeah, how about you, sir?
Welcome.
You are speaking with Mr. McGill.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, what I want to say is that I want to applaud the studio guest. And this is the educative program that the government should compare their sensitizations to the public. And I think that it will be expedient that whenever the public should have consumed this kind of sensitive information, then people will be guided.
Thank you very much. Let's take. Oh.
My recommendation is that I will wish to recommend that there should be a task force set up.
Okay, that recommendation.
To see how they can arrest the situation easier.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, this is Money Matters.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, this is Ishmael Isaac James Melanie from Hualupa County, Liberia.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much. When the month comes to an end, you actually talk on money issue. What I'm saying about this rate inflation, actually, I'm seeing that, central banks need to work closely with the community bank that we have in our local community to actually put some regulation on the financial aspect. Also, the next thing I'm seeing here, like for us, we are at the borderline. Those who can come from the neighboring country, when they come, they can be asking for the US dollar in demand. So most of the time, they can make the US to go into higher rate. Like if we are here, people come from Guinea, from Sierra Leone to look for US dollars. When they come, they can be in need, so they can put any money they get to them. They can be accepted to carry them to this neighboring country. So work with the community bank, they can be able to manage and then maintain this rate for us, because the government has tried for the past 5 years. They have actually tried. The rate has been on the normal level. Now we are coming to elections. They have to do that level better so that the rate can see they can maintain the rate to 150. They can be better for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll take perhaps just one more call, and then we'll join our panelists to conclude. But while we're waiting for that, let's take a call from this other line. Hello, this is Money Matters. Hello. Let's see what. Yeah. Welcome to Money Matters.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning to the studio guys. My name is Alvin Che. I'm calling in from Sokne Damokri, to be precise.
Welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you. Straight to the issue. Yeah, really, I must applaud the central bank for their hard work over the period of time, but really they need to work. They need to put some mechanism into place, because the US rate is increasing on a daily basis. And we, the petty traders, we don't want catching it, because, for example, when you are buying the item for $5 US, and at the time we were 150, we were buying 750 in Liberty, and now the rate are increased. We no longer give us 750 to go buy $5 US item. We give us almost $950 to go buy $5 US item. So I'm rather appealing to the central bank and the finance ministry to put their feet to the ground to see how best our rate can go back to 150. Not to that my case, it will not. Nothing will stop me. My vote for His Excellency, Dr.
Oh, no, we're not going to politics, please. Sorry about that. All right. So, gentlemen, those are the concerns. We don't have much time, so in less than 2 minutes, can you provide some of the answers?
Well, what I can say is that the directives being issued by the government are well and good intended. We just need the cooperation of everybody, the businesses, and of course, everyone, all the key stakeholders, to make them to work. Because ultimately, when the rate stabilizes, it's good for everybody. But again, let's not lose sight of the fact that the movement in exchange rate is a normal phenomenon in any economy. It's just that because of our dual currency arrangement, people try to misbehave sometimes. So people should not think that central bank job is to fix the rate. That's not central bank job. Our job is to intervene to make sure the rate is stabilized where it becomes necessary. So just to speak to the point, for the brother from FOIA, that our job is not to fix the rate, but is to make sure it's stable over time. And this is what happens in every economy. So it's not because of, government is doing anything wrong, but sometimes if they are, like my colleagues mentioned, due to the money, if the current monetary policy of the U.S. is tight, obviously you expect shortage of U.S. in the Liberian economy. And so it's our job as policymakers to do whatever is necessary to make sure we just keep the situation stable.
Thank you. Mr. Singbe?
Okay, yeah. So we come again to say thank you for this opportunity, and we want all taxpayers not to worry, not to put themselves in any kind of rush about going to change their money to US dollar before to come and pay your taxes. Come with what you have. We will accept what you have. We want money. We accept any money that comes, but don't put yourself to go change money to come to us.
Thank you, Ben. Mr.
And I would want to say that there are fluctuations, there are shocks in economy. We call that the business cycle, and one of those cycles in Liberia is the festive season, the July 26th. There's increased imports for the 26th season. We see that also in the last quarter, but we are assuring you that what we are doing will bring stability to the economy and the currency as well.
Thank you, Mr. Raji Anand of the CBL, and Mr. Musa Kamara, also of the CBL, and the manager of communications at the LRA, Mr. D. Kayin Singbe. Gentlemen, thanks for coming to Money Matters. And thanks, too, for listening to the program. Those who also called, we want to say thank you. The program is aired on the first and last Wednesday of every month. My name is Cyrus Olebadio, your presenter. Have a pleasant day.